Morning, everybody. Just the other day, we watched a Muppets Christmas Carol with the kids for the first time, and it got mixed reactions, I'll be honest. But they have latched on to the opening scene, and they've repeated the lines between them ever since. So one of them will say, I'm here to tell you a story, and the other will quickly pipe up, I'm here for the food. And then they'll chuckle to themselves for a few minutes before they repeat the whole scene over again. And it struck me though, as we were watching the film, that actually that structure of Christmas past, present and future might be quite a helpful one for us to reflect as we come to Christmas this year. We know that this year is different in so many ways. And so there might be something helpful for us to look back at Christmases we have enjoyed previously. Then to look at what this Christmas means and how do we engage with this one in all of its difference and uncertainty and frustration and all of that stuff. And then how will all of this experience then shape us for Christmas future? How are we going to be shaped as people as a result of the experience of doing Christmas differently this year? So looking backwards then to Christmas past, well, for Scrooge that was a painful remembering of some of those key shaping moments in his life and story. For many of us, we'll look back to Christmas past with a sense of nostalgia and just kind of those fond memories of times shared together. As a church, kind of looking back, one of the things that we would normally have enjoyed by now is just singing endless carols in all kinds of different settings. And we've done some of that this year, but my voice is definitely thankful that I've not sung quite so much. But actually we're missing that opportunity to sing all over the place. Normally by now we would have spent an evening together in the Merry Boys, kind of packed around the bar and singing Christmas carols and Christmas songs and just getting into the festive spirit. And again, I've missed that opportunity to kind of be gathered with other people and celebrating together in that bigger setting. And we'd also be looking forward to the Christingle service being an in-person service in a normal year and gathering with up to 500 people, and that moment where we light the Christingles and we switch off the lights and we sing together. Those are the moments as I look back to Christmases past for the church that I'm really going to miss the most. And then in terms of family, here at the vicarage, one of the things we'd normally be looking forward to this time of year is just welcoming a steady stream of visitors to the house. Offering hospitality is such a key thing at this point of the year, and we're missing being able to do that in the same way. And then of course Christmas Day itself, we're still going to have food and celebrate together, but it won't be with all the people that we would normally spend that day with. And I'm missing the opportunity to gather the wider family around the table on Christmas Day. But I'm so thankful as I look back for the wonderful Christmases that we have enjoyed and that we will continue to enjoy moving forward. And then of course we come to Christmas present. We know that this year is going to look really different. And for Scrooge, he gets an insight into what Christmas is looking like for other people around about. That actually not everybody has the wonderful experience that others are enjoying. For us as a church, one of the questions we've tried to ask this year as we look at kind of the present is, it's not just about how do we kind of do the things that we would normally have done. That's not always the right approach when things are so uncertain and so different to normal. And we've tried instead to ask ourselves, okay, let's not focus on the things that we can't do. Let's instead ask ourselves the question, what is possible right now? And how do we do the very best? How do we make the very best of that? What are the opportunities we do have? And how do we do those things as well as we possibly can do them? And so we've We've taken the opportunity to sing carols outdoors on the car park, and yes, it wasn't the same as being candlelit and all the rest of it, but there was something really special about being together and being visible in the community and singing carols as the traffic was driving past and the bus kept arriving at the bus stop. There was something special for me about doing that. And then later on Sunday, we were able, some of us, to share carols on our doorsteps with our neighbours, and again an opportunity to connect with those who live around us in a way that wouldn't normally happen in any other year. So there have been opportunities to connect in new ways, and we celebrate that. When it comes to celebrating with family and friends, then obviously that is really difficult this time around. When the latest announcements happened over the weekend, shortening the relaxation of the rules, and there's a whole range of reactions to that. There are some people who actually have felt a sense of relief at that they don't have to go and travel, they don't have to go and join in with something that they weren't completely comfortable with or sure about. And there's that sense of relief, perhaps, that actually we can do things more simply. That we don't have to worry about who's going where for Christmas and stressing about hosting and producing this perfect meal. But actually, I also know that for many others, the response to that announcement has been one of devastation, anger even, frustration, that actually we're missing out on a few days or even just a few hours with loved ones around the table. And many of us are together in our desire to be with those who are apart from us. And so it's really difficult. But for me, as I look at Christmas present, I'm trying to just be thankful for a simpler Christmas. I love all of the sharing of the food and the gifts and the decorations and all of that. But there's something this time that is an opportunity to do things in a much simpler way, a much less stressful way. And one of my hopes is that in the simplicity of this year, the relative simplicity of this year, I'll be able to engage better with the story that we're celebrating. As I think about Jesus coming into the world, the dawn of salvation beginning to break, and reflect on what that means for me and for us as a church. And then we look to the future. For Scrooge, the image here is one of doom and gloom. It's a wake-up call, a call to change his heart and mind. And in a sense, it's the same call that we face. We celebrate the good news of Jesus coming into the world, but always we face that question of how will we respond to Jesus for ourselves? For us as a church, there's a question there of, as we celebrate Jesus coming into the world, as we celebrate the dawn of salvation beginning to break, that should make us a hopeful people. As we look forward to another year that is going to be full of more uncertainty, how do we embark on that new year as a hopeful people? How will we be shaped by this experience to become more hopeful? One of the things I'm really hoping that will come out of this for us as a church is that we'll just have this deeper desire to value being together. One of the things we've really missed is being able to share food with one another. The church Christmas meal, another highlight in a normal year. We've really missed eating together, being together, singing together, sharing communion properly together, all of those things. I think back to my first Christmas here when I turned up for the service on Christmas morning, and actually me and my extended family made up more than half the congregation, because it just turned out there wasn't really much of a tradition here of church people celebrating in church on Christmas morning. They'd come to all the other services beforehand, but not Christmas Day itself. And I love the fact that in recent years we've seen that grow, so that the majority of us now celebrate Christmas morning as a church family before we then go off and do our own different things. And that value of being together, that as and when we are able to do that, to regather, that we will value that much, much more highly. And then for us as individuals and for family, I guess the experience of this could shape us to be resentful and hurt and frustrated, I guess, at all of the losses that this year has brought. Or alternatively, it could shape us to become more thankful people for the things that we are able to do. That actually when we are able to be together again and to share with family in the normal way, that actually we can be much, much more grateful for those opportunities. And likewise, there's another way that we might be shaped. Like we could be more self-centered as a result of this. I want to, I've missed out on seeing these people and doing this celebration in the way that I want to. Or actually we could be made more loving by this as we look around to the situation of others. For me, I'm really aware that some people are now facing Christmas Day on their own because their plans have had to be cancelled. They can't go and spend Christmas now with the people they had planned to. And actually, we can grow in being more loving and considerate towards others around us and less focused on ourselves. But as my kids will no doubt remind me constantly over the coming days, one of them saying, I'm here for the story. And I want that to be me. I want to engage more deeply with the story of Jesus this time around. Yes, the different things that we're involved in are amazing, but all of them should be pointing us to the story of Jesus, to engage with the good news of his coming in the flesh in a new way. But I'm also here for the food. However you're feeling about facing this Christmas, I hope that there's just something in this kind of structure of looking back, looking at the present and looking ahead to the future that might just help you to kind of locate yourself in the story of Christmas this time around. Merry Christmas.